Being chapter 12 from Freak the Mighty. We're about halfway there. It's really starting to get good now, just so you know. And yeah, it's been one of those days where I'm just like bun in the hair, don't care. And today we're going to enter what is really a typical scene in a high school classroom if you are a really inexperienced teacher, or you're a substitute teacher, or you could be a lot of things. And I just want to say that what the teacher does in this, there's a teacher in this section, an English teacher, go figure. And she doesn't really handle things very well. So just going to say that there are much better ways of handling this situation that's about to go down. Just want to let you know. The chapter title is called Killer Kane Had a Kid Who Got No Brain. And this one is the chapter that causes a lot of conversation in a classroom. So if you want to or with children, if you want to, get going about talking and politely to each other and not being name callers to each other. I mean, there are grown-ups who name call every day. Sometimes it's me, just a little. I'm trying to be kind, I swear. It's just this election cycle is just, I've been voting since I was 18 and I've never seen anything like it. Whew, I just want this 2020, man. Let's see what's up with Freak and Max, and let's go there, right? All right. So remember that they left, and he got flicked in the nose, and they were scared, and they now just got away from Iggy Lee and Loretta Lee, and now they're headed back. I feel real bad for Freak because he hates it when people try to rub his head for luck, but I don't say a word. I just run us home, thumping the short way back around the pond, and my big feet never even trip me up because I'm on automatic. I'm this running machine. Whoa, Freak says when we get to his house. Now that was an adventure, huh? No. Do you think Freak is a little freaky that he thinks that was an adventure? That was scary, right? Good evening, friends. An evil dude like Iggy Lee, we were lucky to get out of there alive. Freak goes, no way, that was all talk. Yeah, right. The deal is that I was scared the whole time I was there, and so was Freak, even if he won't admit it now. That stuff about my father was true. Do you remember what she said about him at the end of the last chapter? If you weren't here, just so you know, she says that right after you was born, your dad must have been a magician because as soon as he heard the magic words birth defect, he disappeared. A second later, they got shoved out the door. So he brings it up. Max brings it up to Freak and is like, Freak says, that stuff about my father was true, Freak says, studying his fingernails and acting real cool again. The fair Gwen won't talk about it. Gwen is his mom. At all. All she says is, he made his decision and I made mine. But I know he ran away because of me. And you know what? What? Good riddance to bad rubbish. For some reason, that really gets me laughing. Something about the way he says it, or maybe it's all that nervous stuff left over from the New Testaments. Whatever, I'm rolling on the ground like a moron, and Freak is strutting around and saying stuff like, Loretta, my queen, wouldst thou accept my hand in marriage? And Sir Iggy, would thou do us a big favor and fall upon thy sword? And I'm laughing so hard I can barely breathe. Everything is pretty much okay after that. One thing we don't do, though, we don't talk about my father, good old Killer Kane, which is fine by me. And then there's a little break in the page, and I always like to tell children in any situation that when you see a big break in a page like that, new scene, Like when you're watching a movie and it changes scenes, you know it changed scenes because you see it. Well, how do you know it changes scenes in the book if there's usually a big space? A lot of kids get confused by that. They keep reading and they're like, what does this have to do with that? And usually it doesn't have anything to do with that. And that is why you're lost. And they're like, you're welcome if you didn't know that. Okay, so school is the first word here. School. It says school. I don't know if you see it. I'm a little out of angle, like with Insta. I don't know. I'm trying my best here. Okay. For the last week or so, it's like getting jabbed with a little needle every time I hear that word, school. Graham is trying to pretend how excited she is. I'm finally in 8th grade. Like this is really a big deal, which is a joke because the only reason I got passed from 7th grade is because they figured this way the big butthead can be, quote, someone else's problem. Thank God. We've had quite enough of Maxwell Cain, unquote. If you don't know, that's the truth. They do pass you along. And honestly, the research shows that retention is really bad for kids, like really bad. I was in an elementary school last year with my college students, and they were, no, girl, I'm in a live. You can't, how, sorry that happened. My daughter's teacher's calling me right now, and it's on Do Not Disturb, so I don't know what's happening. I apologize. So what I'm saying is retention is not healthy for children, especially because we put them together in batches, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, which is like another conversation of stupidity. And so then we say this subject and that subject and that subject when they should all be interweaved together. That's a whole other subject. But more importantly, when you're like the 2nd grader who stays in 2nd grade and your whole class goes to 3rd grade, and then the 1st graders know you got stuck in 2nd and the 3rd graders know you got stuck in 2nd, and then your behavior problem, I wonder why. Okay, so retention is not an idea. And this kid has told us a million times how dumb he feels, right? And he's never dumb. And that's what school does to so many people, is they make you feel dumb. And you're not dumb. You're not stupid, right? I teach the kids who think they're dumb, and then when they leave me, they realize they're geniuses in their own way. Like everyone has their geniuses. Sorry, people are calling me. Okay, stop. Sorry, I swear it's on Do Not Disturb, but I can still see the messages. Like I'm not hearing them. I don't want to see them either. Phone, come on. So this poor kid, he's like, he hears people talking about him all the time. Everyone, his teachers, the neighbors, his grandparents, everyone's saying something bad. And if you're that kid, like, how are you going to learn, right? If that's always on your shoulders. Now he has Freak on his shoulders. And he says, like, I never had a brain until Freak was on my shoulders, which isn't true. He always had a brain, right? So thank God he's someone else's problem, unquote. Graham takes me out to the mall to get new clothes, which is about as much fun as going to the dentist, except maybe worse, because at least at the dentist, you're mostly just in a chair with the door closed. Where at the mall with Graham, it's like, hello world, here I am, take a good look. This girl at the shoe store, she's got a little smirk and she goes, 13 triple E? Do they make shoes that big? And Graham goes, I'm quite sure they do, dear. You go ask the manager. And then she looks at me and she goes, Maxwell, this is not major surgery. So if you will please, as a special favor to me, wipe that wounded look off your face and try to be polite. Sorry, Instagram. My phone is the one recording this live, and I think I just cut out a million times, and my apologies. I could repost this from my YouTube. If you could go find this unedited, unpaused on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and I think that's it. Okay, so Graham is saying this part. So try to wipe that wounded look. Pause due to poor connection now. Wonderful. Sorry, Facebook, who's not having internet troubles. Restream, you're doing great. Instagram, I don't know what your problem is, and I apologize. Hi, friends. So she says, get that wounded look off your face and try to be polite. Like, dude, you're only going shoe shopping. Be lucky you get shoes, right? Yeah, right. The manager, when he comes out with these brand X running shoes, he wants to help me take off my old shoes. Like, he's pretty sure I can't do it by myself, but I give him this look, and he backs off and he lets me do it by myself. I wish you'd tie those laces, dear, Graham says when I'm squishing around in the new shoes. That's the fashion, the manager says with this laugh. Actually, they're designed that way. You don't need to lace up. Just to prove what a jerk he is, I tie up the laces, and that makes Graham happy. Which is funny sometimes, how little it takes to make her happy, except you really can't figure what until you've already done it. Does this make any sense? Finally, we escaped from the mall, and I got enough new clothes to last me, as Grim points out, a week or so. You could just keep letting down the cuffs, Grim says, except they don't have cuffs now, what I'm thinking. I think he looks quite handsome, Graham says. Maxwell, please turn around and keep your shirt tail tucked in. Ah, leave him alone, Grim says. He's not a fashion model. I just can't get over it, Graham says. Our Maxwell, our boy, is growing up. Growing is right, Grim says. The boy is certainly growing. The deal is, Freak and I get to be in the same classes. He made the fair Gwen go in and see all these people at the school because I wasn't supposed to be in smart classes. No way. And finally, they all agreed it would be good for Freak having someone to help him get around. Graham acts kind of worried about it, and she doesn't want to sign the papers. She thinks the LD class has done me a lot of good or something. LD is for learning disabled. Really, it's learning differences. Difference, not disabled. It's just different. That's a whole nother conversation. Okay, so the LD class has done me a lot of good, and being in the genius class is just going to make me slower and dumber than ever. But one night I come up the cellar stairs real quiet, and Grim is saying, let's give it a try. Nothing else has worked. Maybe what he needs is a friend. That's one thing he's never had with all those special teachers. And the next morning, she signs the papers, and when we get to school the first day, Freak helps me find my name on the list, and it's true. We're in all the same classes. And isn't that the thing you do the first day of school? That's all the kids want to know. Who's in my class? They don't care what the supplies are. They don't care about your rules. They're not listening. Teachers who give to 10 million rules the first day of school. I mean, you have to give some, right? But, they're not listening. This is hello, they're there for the social part, right? Anyhow, even my college kids did a scavenger hunt for their midterm this semester. Anybody could do it at any age. It's not that hard to be polite and teach kids to love learning and love reading. And where the heck am I? Hold on. Top of the page. No, sorry. Hold on, the LD class, teachers, and we're all in the same classes. I was talking about the same classes. At first, all the other kids are so into looking cool and acting cool and showing off their new outfits, they hardly notice us in the hall. Freak riding high on my shoulders, or the deal where his desk is always right next to mine. That wears off, though, and by the time we leave math, which is just passing out the textbooks and a bunch of numbered chalks on the blackboard, you can hear whispers in the hall, like, hey, who's the midget? And there goes Mad Max, and excuse me while I barf and look what escaped from the freak show, and oh my God, disgusting. Mean Girls. Maxwell Kane. This is from Mrs. Donnelly, the English teacher. She's new to the school, and when I nod and raise my pencil, she goes, Maxwell, will you please stand up and tell the class something about your summer? The wrong kid to ask. That's a teacher skill, knowing which kid to ask the right questions to, because you don't want to be the teacher who asks a kid a question he can't answer. That is not good teaching. No, 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 no. depth of knowledge. Like, ask a kid a question he can't answer, he will listen more. You ask him one time a question he can't answer, the turtle shell comes on, the shame is out. And once you have shame in a classroom, you do not have learning. Learning cannot take place when there's shaming in a classroom. So asking the right questions, Mrs. Donnelly's like asking Max in the advanced gifted classes to stand up and tell us about your summer. What could be worse? So here we go. This book goes right now, okay? Which, if she wasn't new to the school and she'd know better, because getting up in class and saying stuff is not something I do. Maxwell, she goes, is there a problem? By now, there's a lot of noise and kids are shouting stuff like, forget it, Mrs. Donnelly. His brain is in his tail. Ask him to count. He can paw the ground. Maxie Pad, ask him quick about his dad. Killer Kane had a kid who had no brain. Mrs. Donnelly has this look like she stepped in something and she can't get it off her shoe. The shouting and singing goes on, and pretty soon some of the kids are throwing stuff at us. Pencils and erasers, wadded up paper, and it's like Mrs. Donnelly has no idea what to do about it. The room is out of control. Then Freak climbs up on his desk, which makes him about as big as a normal person standing up, and he starts shouting at the top of his lungs. Order, he shouts. Order in the court. Let justice be heard. For some reason, maybe because he looks so fierce with his jaw sticking out and his little fists all balled up and the way he's stamping his crooked little feet, everybody shuts up and there's this spooky silence. Finally, Mrs. Donnelly says, you must be Kevin. Is that right? Freak has this look. He's still acting really fierce and he goes, sometimes I am. Sometimes? What do you mean? It means sometimes I'm more than Kevin. Oh, says Mrs. Donnelly, and you can tell she has no idea what he's talking about, but she thinks it's important to tell him. So Kevin, she says, can you give us an example? Next thing I know, Freak has his hands on my head, and he's getting himself on my shoulders, and he's tugging at me in a way that I know means stand up, so I did it. And I stand right up in class and I can see Mrs. Donnelly's eyes getting bigger and bigger. I'm standing there with Freak high above me and it feels right and it makes me feel strong and smart. How's this for an example, Freak is saying? Sometimes we're 9 feet tall and strong enough to walk through walls. Sometimes we fight gangs. Sometimes we find treasure. Sometimes we slay dragons and drink from the Holy Grail. Mrs. Donnelly is backing up to her desk and she says, oh my, that is very interesting, I'm sure. But could you both just please sit down? But Freak is riding me like he's the jockey and I'm the horse. He's steering me around the classroom, showing off. He's raising his fists and punching it in the air and going, Freak the mighty, freak the mighty, freak the mighty. And pretty soon got all the other kids chanting, freak the mighty, freak the mighty, freak the mighty. And all my kids in class, I had let them say it, scream it, say it, freak the mighty, freak the mighty. We make up a rap. Sometimes that's an assignment. And pretty soon he's got all the other kids chanting. We already read that. And even though they don't know what he's talking about or what it means, I'm standing up straight as tall as I can and I'm matching exactly like he wants me to, marching exactly like he wants me to, right and left, backwards and forwards. It's like music or something. Like I don't even have to think about it. I just do it. And all the kids are chanting our name and Mrs. Donnelly has no idea what's going on. She's definitely flipped out, more or less hiding behind her desk. Mrs. Donnelly has no clue what to do. She asks terrible questions. She needs some help. The whole class is raising their fists in the air and chanting, freak the mighty, freak the mighty, freak the mighty. And I can't explain why, but it was really pretty cool. Anyhow, that's how Freak and I get sent to the principal's office on the first time together. First. Mrs. Addison, get ready for Mrs. Addison. She's the principal. She takes one look at us outside her office and she goes, what have we here? I'm afraid there has been a slight misunderstanding, Freak says. If you would be so good as to allow me to explain. Mrs. Addison is this really serious acting black woman with a tight gray hair and a bun. Well, and these suits that make her look like she works in a bank or something. She has this funny little smile like she's sucking on a lemon. And it quick turns sweet. And then she goes, by all means, let's hear what you have to say. Convince me. I really can't remember what Freak said, except that he used so many big words, she had to keep looking stuff up in his dictionary, she seemed to get a real kick out of. But the important thing is, whatever Freak told her, she fell for it. The end of chapter 12. Freak got them out of trouble this time. Whew. But next chapter's called American Chop Suey. And lots goes down quickly here. Back to school in the book. Back to school for my county. Thankfully, I don't work in a building. Sorry to my friends who have to go back in dangerous situations. And thank you for being here. I'm really enjoying this. It's like I know the people who are watching are enjoying, and that is all that matters. If there's 10 people or 100 people or 1,000,000 people, I'm here for Bedtime Stories. Oh, I haven't had a vacation since March 13th. Even maybe I could call it that Monday because my kids have been home since then. I'm a single mom. And so I'm going on vacation tomorrow until Sunday. So I'm not doing a live tomorrow, Saturday, or you know what? I might. I'm going to be at a place where I might just feel like it. I don't know. It'll be like a maybe. But yeah, I'll pick it back up on Monday. I don't know. It depends on like where I am tomorrow night. I'm kind of having like a weekend, like a grown-up weekend. It's been a long time. Been a long time since I've seen my man. Dun, dun,